All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Dungeon Crawlers, where literally we're going to be dungeon crawling. We're going to Dungeon Derby. So we got Tanner here.
Hi, everybody.
The mastermind, genius. What is your actual title?
I don't have a title.
No title.
I think I'm listed on the Kickstarter as the game designer. And
Game
so
designer.
That would be a.
I was about to say,
would be a good title.
Tanner, no title
No
necessary.
Titleless.
No title Tanner.
No, I'm definitely surrounded by many people with titles, and that's kind of definitely the reason why we've been able to do what we've been able to do.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So Dungeon Derby is a board game that you guys are putting out on Kickstarter. You guys have some really cool ideas with this. But not only that, for everyone that was listening to our previous show with Brad talking about his Handyman series, Brad is actually the artist for this game as well, right?
Yes, Brad did all the art. And fun fact about Brad, I don't know if you guys talked about this last episode, but he is a colorblind artist.
He mentioned that, which I'm actually kind of surprised because this is all colored.
I know, and it was really
Did he
funny
do the coloring
because
and the artwork, or did he just do the pen?
he did the coloring and the artwork. So it was funny when he showed us his art as kind of his resume.
So I'm going to lift these up for the camera. For those of you that still haven't
Let's
jumped
do
on
this one,
Patreon.
'cause this one is more.
You got to lift it up higher because of the box. Yeah.
We'll take photos.
Yes, we'll take photos too and post it up. But this one's probably my favorite though. But
I want to say something, but then I'd get R2.
so he showed you
Handheld
his
Tanner.
artwork.
Yeah, he showed us his resume was all black and white
Yeah.
art, and about halfway through, he told us all that he was colorblind, and it was a real moment of panic. But then we got his stuff back, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Wait, you're colorblind. Oh!
I know, it's the last
Yeah.
thing you want to hear when you hire an artist and are halfway through the job.
Well, that even surprised me when I first met him, and he brought in his artwork. I'm like, wait, comic book art? How does that work? And he's like, oh, I just do black and whites. And then he did show me some color stuff, and I'm like, wow. I mean, I would never guess it if he had not told me because of the way he does stuff.
Yeah, it ended up working out. I mean, if anything, the biggest takeaway is nothing is impossible for those
definitely.
that believe.
Yeah, nothing can hold you back. If you're dedicated, I love this guy. I'm sorry, like I was looking at him before, like, oh, he looks pretty cool. Looks pretty.
Then he's got the giant
and,
roller.
and then I realized
There's a guy on his back.
I realized that the guy on his back is to scale, so that's human size. This guy is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
you
they're
see
the
all the little people down there?
Yeah.
they're the
Yeah, he's
giant
a big-
masters.
he's a big one.
I thought that they were just really far away.
Dude, the shading and the highlighting, I am drooling and I'm fangirling it.
Yes.
So it's 2 to 6 players.
3 to 6 players.
3 to 6. So
yeah.
3 is the minimum.
Yeah, two is just not as fun. It's
Okay.
not a 2-player game.
You could still do it though.
You could
But it wouldn't
still
be fun.
do it, but we've changed the box. The instructions are 3 to 6.
Okay.
There's currently we're currently working on a rule set for 2 to 6 for 2 players,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe release as an expansion later down the line. There's a couple more elements we think that we
Okay.
need to add, but that doesn't stop you from having a grand old time.
So is it a very competitive game or is it cooperative?
No, so Dungeon Derby has a very unique play pattern. The object of the game is to make as much money as you can.
Okay.
And it's less a dungeon crawl and more a dungeon race. Have you ever seen Rat Race?
Yes,
I love
that
Rat
movie.
Race. That's
So-
one of my
It's a
favorite
race.
movies.
Do you have
Yes,
an
it is.
narcoleptic?
So towards the end of that movie, you find out that it's a bunch of rich old dudes who are betting on the miscreants trying to get to the money, and it's really for their pleasure.
I would say spoiler, but this is like 20 years old at this point. So
Yeah, if you haven't
don't
seen
know-
Dungeon Derby, you deserve to be... Or no, if you haven't seen Rat Race, you deserve to be
Well, and,
spoiled at this
the
point.
latest Rat Race was a remake of the original.
Yeah.
So it's been out for many
I got
decades.
spoiled on Game of Thrones in a Muppet panel at Comic-Con, so I just whatever now.
Wasn't the original? It's a mad
Yes.
world.
Yes.
Now I really want to watch Rat Race. I haven't seen that in forever.
Well, tell us more about this rat race.
So, in that same metaphor and example, it would be like instead of the rich old white dudes in Rat Race, we'd be rich old elves and gnomes and orcs here to bet on the racers in the dungeon.
Nice.
So their objective, these characters you see in front of you, their objective is to make it from one end of the dungeon to the other without perishing. And we bet on who will win. We can also heavily influence the race by placing and setting off traps, casting spells from the sidelines, and giving different racers different pieces of armor and gear to take into the dungeon with them. So we can heavily influence our bet, but everybody's trying to do that at the same
So
time.
hold on. So you're not actually playing as one of these 4 or 6 characters. You're actually betting on these 6 characters or these 6 NPCs that are like trying to run through the dungeon.
Yeah, they're completely their movement and actions are completely controlled by the game.
Oh wow!
Really?
Your object of the game is to influence the race the best that you can. So you can hide flame traps in the dungeon that will trigger, that will burn and send your bet back to the starting line, back to the race. You can send monsters in there, skeleton armies that will fight the other champions in the dungeon that will make sure that your bet has a straight shot all the way to the end.
I'm John Cleese.
I don't know what that means.
You need to watch Rat Race.
You mean I need to watch Rat Race this decade when I have my adult brain?
Yes.
Okay.
John Cleese.
Movies always really. You watch some of those ones that you grew up with,
I will-
and you're taken back by like the jokes you
Muppets
missed.
Treasure Island has the dirtiest joke that I did not realize was in there,
Yeah.
and I ruined it for Scott when
That's
I pointed
okay.
that out.
No, so John. Do you remember any of Rat Race? So the main billionaire is John Cleese, the actor John Cleese.
Oh, okay.
The one with the really weird fake teeth, because I'm sure he was wearing fake teeth. They were very large.
I know who John Cleese
yeah.
is, but I can't picture him in the movie.
Well,
in
no,
my
that's what
head.
I'm saying. In the
Yeah.
movie, he has really big white fake
I can
teeth.
hear him though. Now I
yeah.
can hear him
Yeah.
when they're like.
And
talking
Dave
and
Thomas
everything.
is his assistant that
Yes.
he keeps making do weird things.
No, I just remember when they. One of the things that stuck with me is the Barbie Museum because I was that age when it came out.
Yeah, wrong Barbie.
I never understood that joke. Was Barbie like a Nazi? Is that a name of a Nazi? Is it like
That
a
was-
German for Nazi?
So it was actually someone that was really high ranked up. His name was Barbie.
like Hitler Barbie.
Well, it wasn't It was like one of his
Adolf
lower
Barbie.
assistants or something like that. So
Yeah,
it
it's like
wasn't
a last name
Barbie
or
the
something.
doll. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the actual doll, but that's what they thought it was. They were going to
Yeah,
a Barbie
yeah.
doll museum, and it wasn't that.
There's another.
I know. That was just the whole way they did that, where he has the little shoe
Makeup
polish
or
on,
shoe
on
polish.
his thing, and then he swallows has the cigarette lighter that bounces onto his tongue, and then he goes into a World War II vet thing, and he starts talking.
He's asking for directions,
Yeah.
so he's pointing with his hand.
Yeah,
Not good.
and he's trying to explain what's going on, but he sounds like he's talking German.
He would get fired from the New York Times.
He would. Yes.
There's another part of the movie that sticks out for me. Prairie.
What?
Prairie dog.
Oh, yeah. I always threaten my kids with that.
You have to poop out the window.
Yeah. We're not going to stop another time.
If you don't
really
go
have to
here at this stop,
you're just
you're
sticking
going
out
out
the
the
window. I never do it, but
I hate you.
I know.
hate you. I hate
I know.
you. I hate
I know.
you.
There's so many awesome references we can put into this game now.
A lot of them are there.
Yeah.
So one thing that's important to the aspect of the game is if you zero out, if you run out of money, or if you drop below the starting amount, you got to have a way to stay in the game. So there's a 40 deck card deck in there that are quest cards. So if you drop below the starting amount, you have to do a quest.
Okay.
And what's funny about the quests is they're not so much to do with the game as they are real world things. My favorite quest of all time, and I always laugh when somebody draws it, is for every player at the table that you go get a drink for, you can have $100.
Oh, wow.
And people are always like, do I have
That's
to
awesome.
go physically get drinks? And then you say, yeah, I'll take a
So the
Dr.
quest
Pepper.
cards are actual physical things you have to do.
A lot of them are. Some of them are dice
those
rolling.
never work in my favor because
rock, paper,
it's
scissors.
always the joke with the tall and the short person, and I never win.
So,
There's no tall, short person quest. So you're good.
Oh, I have.
So what you're telling me is that it not just implements like elements of the board game, but it implements real world actions that you actually have
Yeah.
to like.
Yeah,
participate in.
it's a crazy party game. I think there was a lot of benefit from being my first board game because I didn't know what you shouldn't put in a board game. I didn't know what you should put in a board game.
like I don't want to do push-ups. Well, they're in there.
Well, you want money, you have to do push-ups.
Are
That's
you
actually a
gonna
great
have
idea for a quest card.
creator.
So
app?
our Kickstarter currently has 13 cards that are undecided yet.
Oh,
So there's about
I have
5
some
quest
ideas
cards.
now.
There's
Damn it, Dan!
6 spell cards and 2 treasure cards that are completely undecided that we want to build with the Kickstarter community.
Please don't do the tall and short person.
No, we're not. I'm not talking about tall and short. I just have this idea, and it's,
When Dad says that, someone's about to die. That's all I know.
Or
do you
I'm
want
about
to hear
turn
this
red
idea?
because he's going to mention the incident.
no.
We'll let
I
you
won't say
decide,
it on
Scott.
here.
Should we hear this idea?
No. We'll move forward.
I'm thinking of a lot of ideas. Like,
I like-
there should be a sandwich card. Like, go make me a sandwich. And I'll be like, oh, fine, I want money.
What's a sandwich?
Sandwich.
Sandwich.
Oh.
And it's funny because you
yeah.
could do crazy things like that. You just have to up the amount of money that they would get. Like, I don't think anybody would go make a sandwich for $100 because there's other quest cards in there.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
But
what about,
for
like,
5,000?
singing? Like
Oh, jeez.
singing, and then everybody around the table like judges you or anything like that.
So
Or-
there's
You
one
could do
card
a
where
karaoke card, and everyone at the table gets to pick the song.
Oh no!
that's pretty amazing.
No.
There is a singing card. You do draw a quest, and on your adventures, you show up to a kobold birthday party.
Oh yes.
I'm sorry.
And mistaken as the
Kobold.
entertainment, you must sing
a
"Happy
lizard rat.
Birthday" in a kobold accent or voice or whatever that means to you. And
I'm having a picture of Reese Iffens from...
that's really good.
This would be awesome.
Can we have that as a ringtone?
Sure.
Exclusive Dungeon Crawler's ringtone.
That
Oh,
would
can
work.
my dungeon crawler ringtone be I want to throw you into my dungeon?
Sure.
I think yours is gonna have to be. I don't understand that reference.
No, I don't know what that means.
That works.
I
too.
don't get that.
I don't get that.
I couldn't watch this.
Went over my head.
I turned it off after 5 minutes. There's so many from her.
Varens would have to be. Varens would probably be. That's what she said.
And it's appropriate that we always sit next to each
Oh,
other.
so would mine be? I want some nuts. Is that mine?
Probably.
Speaking of,
She just peeked. So, since you brought it up, the
I'm a
card
little
would have
hungry.
to be to go get some nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
How
a
much
lot
money
of
you
money.
get?
I knew you were going to go there.
But how much money would you get?
Depends on how many nuts.
I'm so
There
excited.
you go.
I
One.
am going so hard not to do R2 right now.
How many nuts are at the table? Correct amount of cards. What's
There you go.
R2?
Extra with cinnamon.
So, whenever there's
Inappropriate
cursing,
word.
is our censor.
It just. Doo-doo-doo.
Hi,
goes,
R2.
Oh,
How
that's
are you
good.
doing? Yeah, R2 just showed up.
Well, welcome
Anyways,
to the table, R2D2.
Yeah.
hate
So
you
this
so
sounds like a
much right
really
now.
fun game.
Yes,
I mean,
going back to the game.
besides, I mean, because I hadn't had time to crack it open, but this like adds another element. Because most games, you're playing the characters and you're moving around, but you're betting on it. Just completely turns a different dynamic because now you're trying to manipulate the game. Other people are trying to manipulate, and you want to win that way instead of moving the guy here and there and collecting your treasure and going
Yeah,
on.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw the map, like I was like, oh well, how are you gonna dungeon crawl on that small map? Like it just didn't feel like something I'd be interested in. But now knowing like, no, these are the non-playable characters. These are who you're manipulating. You're sending armies in after them, and then you have real world consequences and actions that you can perform. Like that shapes it.
I
shapes
don't
it
know
all
why
up.
I'm picturing a combination of Myst and Cranium.
Yeah.
It's similar. Myst is a great game, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey, I do know old stuff.
There you go.
Yay! I just got points back after the Ghostbusters thing.
So it
Or
is
many
it
other
is
things.
kind of a fairly small board. There's 13 spaces all the way down, and it's 6 spaces wide. What's interesting is the bottom left corner of the box on the board. Kind of you can see that there's encounter tokens.
Yeah.
Well, now it's still the bottom left for the camera now, and those actually stay on the board from race to race.
Oh,
Okay.
so you have
So
more than one race.
there's more than one race. Yeah, so in the instructions, and we recommend playing 7 races. That'll give you about an hour of playtime with 6 people.
Okay.
If you want a quick game, you can do 4 races. That would be about 30 minutes. If you want to just figure out who's the best in 5 minutes, you can play 1 race. 2 hours. Again, it's of course the more races you play, the longer it'll play.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is the encounters stay on the board from race to race. So a lot of times when people are playing for the first time, they see, okay, well, you're representing the Harpy people. You bet as their people because you
Okay.
get points if they come in first, second, or third. That are.
Yeah.
So she'll play her encounter and just screw over your lane, for example.
Okay.
Yes, I will.
But then next race, the pole position changes.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
When you flip over the purse card. So she could end up just screwing herself over. So
Oh.
it adds
really
another
fun.
element of.
There's a lot of unpredictability.
It's always me against the boys. Are you kidding me?
You just screwed
They're all
yourself
my
over.
friends.
There's no help for you now.
And then
Yeah.
there's resource
There's never
management.
any
There's
help
card
for you.
management. So there is a lot of unpredictability, a lot of randomness, but a lot of card control and card draw that you can really manipulate the race. You could have two cards that work well together and are for sure win, but there's always a chance that somebody else has something similar.
Okay. So
Nice.
now I have the question, because we've already talked about the cards where you run out of money, you have to do actions to get money. What happens if the person refuses to do that? Are they completely out then?
They would have to sit that round,
That
with
round
no
out.
money. And
Okay.
again, the most important rule in the instructions is the rule of fun. So literally nothing's off the table.
Okay.
If you wanted to make a less mild version of the quest and pay me some of your own money, you could do that, and we've seen that before.
Oh, okay.
So let's say you don't want to sing Happy Birthday in front of everybody, you're kind of embarrassed. If you promise to do it at a later date for just me in the private setting, as an
Oh,
as a very awkward example,
This has become interesting now.
you could.
We
I
need
would-
sensors of a different kind.
I would pay you to do that.
Oh, jeez.
You just made it turn into Marilyn Monroe or something like that. Yeah.
There's a lot of board games. I played a lot of board games.
Yeah.
This board game, you will be screaming at the table, pacing around.
That's
I've
awesome.
never seen that in any other board game, and that's I think its biggest strength.
You haven't
Is that-
seen my family playing.
I've never.
okay.
We've
We
never.
don't talk about the
Monopoly.
unnamed game that we
Th-
don't.
that's the
talk
game that
about.
always gets knocked off the table because someone gets mad. Take it.
Not allowed. Not.
It would
allowed
be
in our
really
house.
funny if you R2'd the word, so the listeners had no idea it was such a
Done.
basic game,
Done.
and then they'd hear me say that and just be frustrated that they don't know what game we're talking about.
You should just make it. No, it shouldn't be R2. It should be like a money sound. Ching.
It's definitely a game that everybody has played.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody's played it.
Yeah.
But nobody's
Everybody
gonna know.
regrets playing it.
Everybody will know because everybody hates it.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Oh, jeez.
We will definitely know. Well, we're almost out of time.
We are.
Tuesday, 9 o'clock in the morning is when we're going live on
Okay.
Kickstarter.
So
So we might need to post this on Tuesday because if we want to, or should this be more on the third week of the Kickstarter?
The day of would be awesome. Totally up to you
Okay.
guys.
So we yeah we
And
can.
now you get to see behind the scenes of the thought process.
We'll move it forward. Yay. Okay.
We always record in the past, present, and future.
We're doctors.
Oh.
Concur.
Yeah.
Now you need to put in.
Well, hello, doctor.
Doctor.
Doctor. Doctor.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Doctor. Doctor.
Doctor.
Doctor.
However,
Doctor.
but
Now,
Doctor.
but
Now you
now
need
I'm
to put in the
confused
TARDIS.
because we were talking about Brad. So Brad's show is going to be after this show. Well, we just screwed up the timeline. So for those
I love
of you,
how we're having this planning
I know.
session during the actual show.
Well, that's the best
did
part
we
about it.
screw up the timeline or did we create a second timeline?
I think we just created
We
an
created-
I
alternate
think we
universe.
created
We
an
did.
alternate timeline.
We did.
And Mackenzie flipped us off in all of them.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. The one
That's the best
constant.
part.
I didn't see
So
it. I
this is
missed
the
it.
So apparently,
darkest.
what you're saying
This
is
is
Mackenzie's
the-
a Time Lord because she's constant throughout it.
Apparently.
And
All
this is the YouTube safe version.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So we're gonna wrap this up. So check out Kickstarter. So look up Dungeon Derby on Kickstarter. Support this. This is probably not going to be a game like you've ever seen before. It sounds like lots of fun. Artwork is fantastic, and you guys have a lot of what is the word? Not
Material?
achievement levels.
Supporters?
Stretch goals.
Stretch goals. That's what I'm thinking of.
So we're actually not doing stretch
No
goals.
stretch goals.
We say the very first thing you'll read on our Kickstarter page is that everything that we have created for you, you
Is
get.
getting even better.
You get it. You
I
get it
love
all.
that.
So we've thought through everything. I mean, there's over 300 pieces that come with it. You're getting it all. What we will do is we will slowly work with our Kickstarter community to create these other cards.
Okay.
So the new quests, new spells, new treasure, and we'll slowly reveal those throughout the campaign.
Nice. I like that. You get everything.
You get everything, 6
That's
minis, and anything else we come up with together.
Okay. So there. No stretch goals because you get everything. That's even better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I want everything.
we need
Right?
to
Everybody wants. How bad does that suck when they don't hit a stretch goal and it's like, well, that's the one
Well,
thing
no,
that I
mean that's
wanted.
one thing we've talked about too. Is even getting video games now. It seems like you don't get a full game anymore. You have to buy
Yeah.
all these other
Yeah,
content.
it's EA.
Buy
Like,
the
what the
extra.
Build
heck?
stretch goals.
I hate this.
I
Quit
have
doing.
no idea what a stretch goal is.
It just means stretch
they
goals
don't-
at most Kickstarters. If they hit a certain dollar amount, they add something else to the game. They hit another dollar amount, they add something else. Instead, you're getting everything, so it's even better.
Or if you can't do the splits and you eventually want to do the splits,
Yeah,
that would be a stretch goal.
That's true.
yeah.
Okay.
I
understand
like that
more.
one.
I understand more of his real world.
I like that one. So I'm not going to be doing the splits anytime soon because that would hurt. But we're going to wrap this up and
And we're gonna make like a banana
yes, and split.
and split.
Yes.
But check out Dungeon Derby on Kickstarter. Support this. This is going to be an awesome game, and we'll probably be hearing more from Tanner in the future because he has some other awesome games to talk about.
If you are not
yes.
currently able to see the great pictures that we have in front of us and the wonderful things around us, you should look us up on Patreon.
Yes.
Because Dungeon Crawlers is on Patreon.
Or if you want to see Mackenzie doing crazy things, just look there.
Are you guys allowed to do giveaways on Patreon?
Yeah,
Do you guys want to give away some art to backers on Patreon?
sure.
That would be
I'm
awesome.
All right.
plotting revenge right now. I'm too.
Okay.
I'm going to leave some art with these guys and then
Look at some of this awesome
we
stuff.
don't know what's staying here.
We don't know what's staying
Yeah.
here, but if you can see this, you know it's going to be worth
And
it.
you may have something.
You'll know
all
it's
right.
worth it.
So with that said, we're out of here.
Dungeon Crawlers.